identity verification startup Bureau has secured $30 million in a fresh equity funding round that was led by US venture firm Sorensen Capital and PayPal Ventures. It hopes to use the capital to enhance its product portfolio and expand its geographical reach and amp up its talent pool. This round takes the overall funding that's been raised by the company to around $15 million. But for more on Bureau's growth roadmap and how this funding is going to support it, joining me now is Ranjan Reddy, the founder and CEO of Bureau. Ranjan, thanks very much for your time here on CNBC-TV18. You know, the global fraud prevention industry is projected to grow to $255 billion by 2032, and in India alone, this market is at $7.3 billion. So start by telling us a bit about Bureau and what kind of market share of this large market do you hope to capture?
So, Ritu, we focus on answering two questions in digital customer journey. Who are you and can I trust you? So we look at fraud, compliance, security, all in one solution, essentially. Everything from AI-generated fraud to payments fraud. And with Bureau, now we are poised to at least capture a significant portion of the growing fraud market in India and abroad. We think just in financial services, we would be able to capture at least more than 20% of that market share just in financial services.
All right, let's get to your $30 million fund raise then. How do you plan to deploy this capital to enhance your product portfolio and your geographical reach?
Sure. So this deployment will go in three places. First is just in product development and AI enhancement. What we need to do essentially is to increase our R&D spend, and we have to stay ahead of the curve. So, for example, deepfake voice, images or videos, and document. Now, deepfake fraud is something which is a large use case. We think is only going to become larger and larger with time. That's going to be one area we'll go much deeper in. We already have solutions there. We're going to improve them even more. And second is on the payment fraud, because every single thing that happens when identity theft takes place or some form of account takeover takes place, it culminates into some form of financial transaction. So rather than just checking things after the transaction, how do we detect it when it's happening? So real-time payment fraud is another use case that we'll go deeper into. So that's the product development is essentially that we'll go deeper into. Second is sales and marketing. And third is launching not just new products, but new geographies as well. So we'll be looking at both emerging markets and some developed markets.
Well, Ranjan, if you could tell us a bit more about these geographical expansion plans, what are the markets that you're prioritizing across these emerging and developing markets that you mentioned, and which of these will be the fastest growing for you?
Sure. So currently, India is one of the largest markets for us. So India and North America are the two largest markets for us. But we see a similar trajectory of a lot of new emerging markets, be it Southeast Asia, parts of the Middle East specifically, potentially even Latin America. But for us, we'd be looking at definitely the Middle East, which is, currently we already have customers in the markets like Saudi Arabia or UAE. We'll go much deeper there.
Could you share a real-world example of how Bureau has successfully prevented any major fraud incident for any one of your clients?
We have at this point, just in India alone, we have detected and also prevented a few $100 million worth of fraud. There's a one bank, one of our largest customers. We were able to stop a fraud which was to the tunes of more than 100 crores in one single weekend. And also we have a pretty good understanding of where this originates and terminates from. So for example, different parts of India, whether be it on the eastern India, where let's say your SIM cards are being used, but where the money essentially terminates from UPI transactions, let's say maybe that's part of the Western India, right? So that sort of understanding is something we are able to deliver on day one when the user is either onboarding or transacting.
All right. And finally, could you give us a sense of how fast your revenues are growing? You're a young company. How many new clients are you adding every month, every year, as well as the future targets for these?
Yeah, for the last 2 years, Ritu, we have been able to grow close to about 3x, both in terms of revenue growth, the customer growth, and also in terms of just the number of identities that we have been able to verify, right, which is very important for our data science models. We think this 3x growth can continue, and we think we can continue to show 3x revenue growth for at least next couple of years.
All right, Ranjan, we're going to have to leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining in, and we wish you the best with your venture. Thank you.
Thanks, Ritu. Appreciate your time.
Well, with that, it's